Marcus Chen stood at attention behind Ambassador Rodriguez, his eyes scanning the Crystal Palace's grand hall. The Zephyrian architecture amazed him with its flowing walls of living crystal that pulsed with soft blue light. Everything here seemed to grow rather than be built, as if the entire structure was one massive organism. The peace talks had been going well for 3 days. Earth's first contact with an alien civilization was proving more successful than anyone had dared hope. The Zephyrians were advanced beyond human imagination, but they showed genuine interest in forming an alliance with humanity. Marcus watched the alien nobles gather around the ceremonial platform. They were tall and graceful, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the crystal light. Their clothes appeared to be made of the same living material as their buildings, shifting colors as they moved. Princess Lyrelei caught his attention as she glided across the hall. She was young for a Zephyrian, maybe equivalent to a human in her 20s. Her silver hair flowed like liquid metal, and her large violet eyes held intelligence and kindness. She had been the strongest supporter of the human alliance, arguing passionately for cooperation between their species. "The ceremony will begin soon," Ambassador Rodriguez whispered to Marcus. "Stay alert, but try to look relaxed." "We don't want to appear threatening," Marcus nodded. His job was to protect the ambassador. But in a place like this, surrounded by beings who could manipulate energy with their minds, he felt somewhat useless. Still, he had trained for years to read danger, and something felt off today. The queen, Zarathis, raised her hands for silence. She was an imposing figure, taller than her daughter, with ancient eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of centuries. Her voice carried throughout the hall without any visible amplification. "Today we witness history," she announced. "Two species separated by the vast darkness of space come together in friendship. Let this treaty mark the beginning of a new age of cooperation." The crowd murmured approval. Princess Lyrelei stepped forward to sign the document, her face glowing with excitement. This was her moment, the achievement that would secure her position as heir to the throne. That's when Marcus saw them. 3 figures in dark robes had entered through a side passage, moving with purpose toward the ceremonial platform. Their faces were hidden, but something about their movement screamed danger to Marcus's trained instincts. "Ambassador," he whispered urgently, "we have a problem." Before Rodriguez could respond, the attackers threw back their hoods, revealing the scarred faces and red eyes of Korthak warriors. The rival species had somehow infiltrated the most secure location in the Zephyrian Empire. "Death to the Alliance," one of them screamed in broken Zephyrian. Chaos erupted in the hall. The Korthak pulled out weapons that crackled with dark energy, completely different from the gentle light of Zephyrian technology. They began firing at the platform where Princess Lyrelei stood frozen in shock. The palace guards reacted quickly, but they were ceremonial troops, not prepared for real combat. Their ornate crystal armor looked beautiful but offered little protection against Korthak weapons. Marcus didn't think. He ran. Years of training kicked in as he sprinted across the hall, dodging energy blasts that left smoking craters in the crystal floor. He tackled Ambassador Rodriguez, pushing him behind a pillar just as a blast seared the air where he had been standing. "Stay down," Marcus shouted, then turned his attention to the real target. Princess Lyrelei was still on the platform, trying to help wounded guards instead of running to safety. The Korthak had focused their attack on her, recognizing that killing the Alliance's strongest supporter would destroy any hope of peace. One of the assassins raised his weapon, aiming directly at the princess. Marcus knew he couldn't reach her in time, but he had to try. He grabbed a piece of broken crystal from the floor and hurled it at the attacker. The shard struck the Korthak's arm, spoiling his aim. The missed shot hit one of the hall's main support columns. The living crystal began to crack and spark, its internal energy systems failing. More columns started to shake as the building's quantum foundations destabilized. "The structure is collapsing," someone screamed in Zephyrian. The guards finally managed to surround the remaining attackers, but the damage was done. Large sections of the ceiling began to fall, and the platform where Princess Lyrelei stood started to tilt as its supports failed. Marcus saw her stumble and fall, trapped under a beam of crystal that pinned her leg. She was conscious but couldn't move, and the entire section of the building was coming down around her. The Zephyrian guards stood at the edge of the collapse zone, their sensors calculating the probability of a successful rescue. Their technology could analyze the falling debris patterns, but the chaotic energy discharges from the damaged building confused their systems. Rescue probability, 12%, one guard reported to his commander. Recommend evacuation of the area. We cannot abandon the princess, the commander replied. But Marcus could hear the uncertainty in his voice. While they debated and calculated, Marcus acted on pure human instinct. He ran into the collapse zone, his primitive senses somehow navigating the chaos that baffled alien technology. Energy discharges that would blind Zephyrian sensors barely registered to his human eyes. He reached the princess just as another support beam crashed down nearby. She looked up at him with surprise and hope. You came back, she whispered in accented English. I'm getting you out of here, Marcus replied, examining the crystal beam that trapped her. It was too heavy for him to lift, but he could see a way to shift it. Looking up at the collapsing structure, Marcus realized the horrible truth. The only way to free Princess Lyrelai was to manually stabilize the main support column above them, but doing so would expose him directly to the quantum radiation leaking from the damaged crystal matrix. The radiation was already making him feel sick, but Zephyrians were more sensitive to it than humans. If he didn't act now, they would both die. Listen to me, Marcus said, gripping the princess's hand. When I lift this beam, you crawl toward the safe zone. Don't look back, don't try to help me. Just go. What about you? She asked, her violet eyes wide with understanding. Don't worry about me, Marcus lied. Just go when I say. He positioned himself under the main support column and began to push upward with all his strength. The quantum radiation washed over him like fire, but he held on. The beam trapping the princess shifted just enough for her to squeeze free. Go, now, Marcus shouted. Princess Lyrelai crawled toward safety, tears streaming down her face. She reached the safe zone just as Marcus's strength finally gave out. The support column crashed down, but it had held long enough for the building's emergency systems to engage and stabilize the remaining structure. Marcus collapsed, his body smoking from radiation exposure. His vision blurred as Zephyrian medics rushed to his side. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was Princess Lyrelai's face, filled with gratitude and something deeper. He saved her, someone said in amazed tones. The human saved our princess. Get him to the medical center immediately, another voice ordered. Use every resource we have. As Marcus faded into darkness, he felt satisfied. He had done his job. He had protected someone who needed protecting, just as he had sworn to do. Whether he lived or died didn't matter as much as the fact that Princess Lyrelai would live to see the alliance between their peoples succeed. The Crystal Palace fell quiet except for the sound of medical equipment and the soft weeping of a princess who had learned what human courage really meant. Marcus floated in darkness for what felt like forever. Sometimes he heard voices speaking in the musical language of the Zephyrians, but the words made no sense. Other times he felt strange sensations like electricity running through his body or cool liquid flowing in his veins. The Zephyrian Medical Center worked around the clock to save him. Dr. Veltar, the Empire's leading physician, had never seen anything like Marcus's condition. The quantum radiation should have killed him instantly, but somehow his human biology was fighting back in ways that amazed the alien doctors. His cellular structure is adapting, Dr. Veltar explained to Princess Lyrelai during one of her daily visits. Most species either heal normally with our quantum therapy or reject it completely. But this human cells are changing, evolving to work with our technology. Princess Lyrelai sat beside Marcus's medical pod, watching the soft blue light that surrounded his unconscious form. She had barely left his side since the attack. The guilt of his sacrifice weighed heavily on her heart. Will he recover? She asked. I believe so, the doctor replied, but he will not be the same. The quantum healing is rewriting parts of his genetic code. We do not know what he will become. News of the human's heroic sacrifice spread throughout the Zephyrian Empire faster than light-speed communication. The story grew with each telling. A primitive human had risked everything to save their princess, asking for nothing in return. It was a concept that fascinated and moved the Zephyrian people. Queen Zarathis watched the public reaction with great interest. The failed assassination had damaged her daughter's reputation, making some question whether Lyrelai was strong enough to rule. But the human sacrifice had changed everything. Now her daughter was seen as someone worth dying for, blessed by the courage of an alien hero. The human has given us an unexpected gift, the Queen told her advisors. Public support for the alliance has increased dramatically. More importantly, my daughter's position as heir has been strengthened. What do you propose we do with him when he recovers? Asked General Thexmore. We keep him close, the Queen replied. Such loyalty and courage should not be allowed to leave our empire. He will serve as proof of the alliance's value and my daughter's worthiness to rule. After 6 weeks in the medical pod, Marcus finally opened his eyes. The world looked different to him now. Colors seemed brighter, and he could see energy patterns flowing through the crystal walls that had been invisible before. His body felt strange, stronger, but changed in ways he didn't understand. You are awake, Princess Lyrelei said, rushing to his side. I was so worried. Marcus tried to sit up and was surprised by how easily he moved. The injuries that should have crippled him were completely healed. How long was I out? 43 days, she replied. The doctors were not sure you would survive. Your species' biology is very different from ours. Marcus looked at his hands, noticing they had a slight shimmer to them now, almost like Zephyrian skin. What happened to me? Dr. Veltar appeared beside the pod. You have been changed by the quantum healing process. Your human adaptability allowed your cells to merge with our technology. You now have enhanced reflexes, improved senses, and the ability to perceive quantum energy fields. I can see the energy in the walls, Marcus said, staring at the flowing patterns of light around them. Fascinating, the doctor murmured, making notes on his crystal tablet. No other species has ever developed such abilities from our treatments. Princess Lyrelei squeezed his hand. I am so sorry this happened to you. You saved my life, and this is how fate repays you. I chose to save you, Marcus replied firmly. I don't regret that choice. Over the following days, Marcus recovered his strength while learning about his new abilities. He could move faster than before, react to danger before his conscious mind even recognized it. His enhanced senses picked up conversations from rooms away and detected emotional changes in the people around him. The princess visited him every day, bringing news from outside and talking about everything from politics to poetry. Marcus found himself looking forward to these visits more than he wanted to admit. There was something about her genuine kindness and intelligence that drew him in. My mother wants to meet with you, Lyrelei said during one visit. She wishes to thank you personally for saving my life. Marcus nodded. I'd be honored to meet her. What he didn't know was that Queen Zarathis had already made up her mind about his future. The meeting took place in the Queen's private chambers, a beautiful room filled with living crystal gardens. The Queen was even more imposing in person, her presence filling the space with quiet authority. Marcus Chen of Earth, she said formally, you have done something unprecedented. You risked your life for someone not of your species, asking for nothing in return. Such nobility deserves recognition. I was just doing my job, Your Majesty, Marcus replied. No, the Queen said firmly. You went far beyond duty. You showed courage that has inspired my entire empire. The people speak of you as a legend already. She gestured to a wall where images played, showing crowds of Zephyrians holding up pictures of Marcus and celebrating the human alliance. Children wore masks made to look like human faces, and artists had created sculptures depicting his heroic act. Because of your sacrifice, support for the alliance has grown beyond our wildest hopes, the Queen continued. You have single-handedly changed the future of both our species. Marcus felt uncomfortable with the praise. I'm glad something good came from it, but I should return to my duties with the human delegation. The Queen's expression became unreadable. That brings me to my proposal. I wish to offer you a position as my daughter's personal guardian and cultural liaison. You would have access to our most advanced technology, a palace of your own, and status equal to our highest nobles. That's very generous, Marcus said carefully. But my duty is to Earth and the diplomatic mission. Consider it, the Queen replied smoothly. Such an opportunity may not come again. You could do more good for both our peoples from this position than you ever could as a simple bodyguard. Princess Lyrelei, who had been silent during the meeting, suddenly spoke up. Mother, you cannot ask him to abandon his life. I am not asking him to abandon anything, the Queen said. I am offering him the chance to build something greater. Marcus felt tension between mother and daughter but didn't understand its source. I appreciate the offer, Your Majesty, but I need to discuss this with Ambassador Rodriguez and my superiors on Earth. Of course, the queen said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Take all the time you need to consider. After Marcus left, Princess Lirelei confronted her mother. You mean to keep him here whether he agrees or not? I mean to do what is best for our empire, the queen replied. That human has become a symbol of our alliance's strength. Allowing him to leave would send the wrong message to our people and our enemies. He is not a symbol, Lirelei said angrily. He is a person who made a choice to help others. Forcing him to stay dishonors everything he did. You are young, the queen said dismissively. You will understand when you rule. Sometimes we must make difficult decisions for the greater good. That night, Marcus tried to contact the human embassy to discuss the queen's offer, but his communication requests were mysteriously delayed or lost in the palace's complex systems. When he asked about visiting the embassy in person, he was told that security concerns made it impossible for the time being. Slowly, Marcus began to realize that the queen's generous offer might not be as optional as it had seemed. The golden cage of the Crystal Palace was beautiful, but it was still a cage. 3 weeks had passed since Marcus's meeting with the queen, and he was growing more frustrated each day. Every attempt to contact the human embassy was met with delays and excuses. His requests to leave the palace were politely denied for security reasons. The beautiful crystal walls that once amazed him now felt like prison bars. Marcus stood on the balcony of his luxurious guest quarters, looking out at the city below. The Zephyrians had given him everything he could want except the one thing that mattered most: his freedom. The rooms were magnificent, the food was excellent, and servants attended to his every need. But he was still a prisoner, no matter how comfortable his cell. You look troubled, Princess Lirelei said, joining him on the balcony. Marcus turned to face her. Over the past weeks they had spent many hours together, and he had grown to respect her intelligence and kindness. But he also sensed she was struggling with something she couldn't tell him. I'm starting to understand that your mother's offer wasn't really a request, Marcus said directly. Lirelei's violet eyes showed pain. I have tried to convince her to let you choose freely, but she believes your presence here serves a greater purpose. What purpose is worth keeping someone against their will? Marcus asked. In our culture, when someone saves a life, it creates a debt that can only be repaid through service, Lirelei explained. My mother sees your heroic act as binding you to our family forever. Marcus shook his head. That's not how it works for humans. I saved you because it was the right thing to do, not to gain something. Making me stay here turns a good deed into a business transaction. I know, Lirelei whispered. I have been learning about human customs, and I understand that forcing you to remain dishonors your sacrifice. But my mother will not listen. Later that day, Marcus decided to test the limits of his captivity. He walked through the palace, using his enhanced senses to map the security systems. What he discovered was both impressive and depressing. The entire building was monitored by quantum sensors that tracked every movement and conversation. The beautiful crystal walls were alive with surveillance technology. In the servants' quarters, Marcus met a young Zephyrian named Kethvor, who worked as a maintenance engineer. Unlike the nobles, Kethvor treated Marcus with simple respect rather than awe. You are the human hero, Kethvor said while repairing a crystal panel. The one who saved our princess. I'm the human prisoner, Marcus corrected. Though I appreciate you not calling me a legend. Kethvor paused in his work. Prisoner, but you have every luxury, every comfort. A cage is still a cage, even if it's made of gold, Marcus replied. Don't your people value freedom? Freedom? Kethvor looked confused. We serve our roles in society. Engineers maintain, nobles rule, soldiers fight. Everyone has their place. But what if you wanted to be something else? Marcus asked. What if you didn't want to spend your life fixing crystal panels? For the first time, Kethvor looked thoughtful rather than confused. I never considered such a thing. Our roles are assigned based on our abilities and family history. Marcus realized he had touched on something important. The Zephyrian society was built on rigid hierarchy and predetermined roles. The concept of choosing your own path was foreign to them. Over the following days, Marcus had similar conversations with other servants and lower-ranking palace staff. His questions about choice and freedom planted seeds of doubt in minds that had never questioned the system. Meanwhile, Princess Lirelei was having her own struggles with her mother. The human grows restless, Queen Zarathus observed during one of their private meetings. Perhaps we should accelerate his integration into our society. Integration? Lyreley asked suspiciously. The quantum healing changed him physically, but his mind still thinks like a primitive human, the Queen explained. Our scientists believe they can adjust his neural patterns to make him more compatible with our way of thinking. Lyreley was horrified. You want to change his mind? To make him forget who he is? Not forget, the Queen said calmly. Simply refine, remove the barbaric human obsession with individual choice and replace it with proper understanding of duty and service. That would destroy everything that made him worth saving in the first place, Lyreley protested. His humanity is what gave him the courage to act when our own guards hesitated. His usefulness as a symbol does not require him to remain mentally unchanged, the Queen replied coldly. A grateful, loyal Marcus Chen will serve our purposes better than a resistant one. That night, Lyreley came to Marcus's quarters in distress. We must get you away from here, she said urgently. My mother plans to alter your mind, to make you think like one of us. Marcus wasn't surprised. He had sensed the Queen's growing impatience with his resistance. I've been working on that problem. Some of your people are starting to question why I'm being held against my will. The servants, Lyreley nodded. I have heard whispers in the corridors. Your ideas about freedom are spreading. Your society has never encountered someone who refused to accept their assigned role, Marcus said. It's making people think about their own choices or lack of them. Kethavor appeared at the door looking nervous. Forgive the interruption, Your Highness, but I bring urgent news. The Queen has ordered the neural adjustment procedure for tomorrow morning. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Once they changed his mind, he would lose everything that made him human. He would become a willing servant, grateful for his chains. Then we move tonight, Lyreley said with determination. Kethavor, can you disable the surveillance systems in the East Wing? Yes, Your Highness, but why would you help him escape? He is your protector. A protector who serves willingly is worth 100 who serve through force, Lyreley replied. Besides, keeping him prisoner makes me as much a captor as my mother. As they prepared their escape plan, Marcus realized that Princess Lyreley was risking everything to help him. If they were caught, she would face her mother's anger and possibly lose her position as heir. Why are you doing this? He asked her. Because you taught me something important, she replied. True strength comes from choosing to do what is right, not from being forced to do what others want. If I let my mother destroy your humanity, I become part of something evil. The escape plan was simple but dangerous. During the shift change at midnight, Kethavor would create a maintenance emergency that required shutting down the surveillance systems. Marcus and Lyreley would use that window to reach the palace's transport bay, where a small ship waited to take Marcus to the human embassy. As midnight approached, Marcus felt both hope and sadness. He wanted his freedom desperately, but leaving would mean never seeing Lyreley again. Despite everything, he had grown to care for the alien princess who had shown him such kindness. Are you ready? Lyreley asked as they waited for Kethavor's signal. Yes, Marcus replied, though his heart wasn't entirely in it. The lights flickered as Kethavor shut down the power systems. In the darkness, Marcus's enhanced senses guided them through corridors he had memorized during his weeks of captivity. They were almost at the transport bay when the lights suddenly came back on. Going somewhere, Queen Zarathus stood before them, flanked by royal guards. They had been betrayed, but by whom? Marcus looked around desperately, his enhanced hearing picking up the sound of more guards approaching from behind. Their escape had failed before it truly began. Marcus stood frozen as the Queen's guards surrounded them. His enhanced senses told him there were at least 12 armed Zephyrians blocking every exit. But what shocked him most was seeing Kethavor among the guards, no longer wearing the simple clothes of a maintenance worker but dressed in the uniform of palace security. I apologize for the deception, Kethavor said, though he didn't sound sorry. But I have my orders. Orders? Princess Lyreley stared at him in disbelief. You betrayed us. I served the Empire, Kethavor replied. As we all must. Queen Zarathus stepped forward, her expression mixing disappointment with cold determination. My dear daughter, did you really think I was unaware of your plans? Every conversation in this palace is monitored, every movement tracked. Marcus felt anger building inside him, but he kept his voice calm. So the maintenance worker was actually a spy. Kethavor is one of my best intelligence agents, the Queen confirmed. His job was to identify anyone who might help you escape, and to gauge how much your human ideas were influencing our people. And the answer to that question concerns you? Marcus asked, noticing the tension in the Queen's voice. More than you might think, she admitted. Your conversations about choice and freedom have created unrest among the lower castes. Some have begun questioning their assigned roles in society. Princess Lyrelai lifted her chin defiantly. Perhaps they should question those roles. Perhaps our entire system needs to change. The Queen's eyes flashed with anger. You sound more like him every day. This is exactly why the neural adjustment is necessary, for both of you. Both of us? Lyrelai stepped back in shock. You have been infected by his primitive thinking, the Queen said sadly. But do not worry, daughter. Once your mind is properly aligned with our traditions, you will understand that individual desires must serve the greater good. Marcus realized the situation was even worse than he had imagined. The Queen wasn't just planning to brainwash him. She intended to change Princess Lyrelai as well, to eliminate any trace of the independent thinking that made her special. Take them to the medical center, the Queen ordered her guards. Prepare both subjects for immediate neural adjustment. As the guards moved to seize them, Marcus made a desperate decision. His enhanced abilities had been growing stronger during his weeks in the palace, and he had been practicing with them in secret. Now was the time to find out what he could really do. He moved faster than the Zephyrian eyes could follow, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to slip between the guards like water. His fist connected with the nearest guard's throat, dropping him instantly. 2 more guards fired their energy weapons, but Marcus's ability to perceive quantum fields let him see the shots coming and dodge them. Run, he shouted to Lyrelai, but she was already surrounded. The fight lasted only seconds. Despite his enhanced abilities, Marcus was outnumbered and the guards were prepared for resistance. A stunning blast caught him in the back and he collapsed to the crystal floor, his body paralyzed but his mind still alert. Impressive, the Queen said as the guards secured him. The enhancement process was even more successful than we hoped. Once his mind is properly adjusted, he will make an exceptional guardian. They were taken to the medical center and placed in separate chambers. Through the crystal walls, Marcus could see Princess Lyrelai in the next room, also restrained but awake. Their eyes met, and he saw fear but also determination in her violet gaze. Dr. Veltar entered Marcus's chamber, carrying a device that hummed with quantum energy. I am truly sorry about this, the doctor said quietly, but the Queen's orders are absolute. Doctor, Marcus said urgently, you know this is wrong. You've seen how the enhancement changed me, made me stronger and more capable. Destroying my mind will waste all that potential. The Queen believes a loyal mind is more valuable than a brilliant one, Dr. Veltar replied. But Marcus could hear doubt in his voice. What about Princess Lyrelai? She's done nothing except show mercy to a stranger. Does she deserve to have her personality destroyed? The doctor paused, his hands shaking slightly as he held the neural adjustment device. The princess. She has always been kind to the medical staff. She visits injured workers, remembers their names and families. She is not like other nobles. Then help us, Marcus pleaded. You took an oath to heal, not to destroy minds. Dr. Veltar looked around nervously, then leaned closer. I cannot stop the procedure, but I can delay it. The Queen expects the adjustments to be completed by morning. If you could somehow escape before then, the surveillance systems will detect any attempt, Marcus pointed out. Not if there was a medical emergency that required shutting down all electronic systems in this wing, the doctor said meaningfully. Such emergencies do happen occasionally. Before Marcus could respond, an alarm began blaring throughout the medical center. Emergency lights flashed as the main power system shut down, and the containment fields holding Marcus and Lyrelai flickered and died. What's happening? A guard shouted from the corridor. Complete system failure in the quantum power core, Dr. Veltar announced loudly. All personnel must evacuate immediately. Marcus didn't waste time asking questions. He broke free from his restraints and rushed to Lyrelai's chamber, helping her stand on shaky legs. Can you move? He asked. Yes, she replied, though she was clearly still affected by the stunning blast. But where can we go? The palace is surrounded by guards. The maintenance tunnels, said a familiar voice. Kethavor appeared in the doorway, but now he looked genuinely apologetic. I know where we can hide. You betrayed us once already, Marcus said suspiciously. I had orders to identify potential rebels, Kethavor explained quickly. But I never expected the Queen to order neural adjustments for the princess. That goes too far, even for someone like me. Why should we trust you now? Lyrelay demanded. Because I triggered the power failure, Kethavor replied, and because your conversations made me realize something important. I chose to become a spy, but I can also choose to stop being one. Dr. Veltar urged them toward a hidden exit. Quickly, before the guards realized this is not a real emergency. They followed Kethavor through service tunnels that ran beneath the palace, spaces Marcus had never known existed. The narrow passages were dark and cramped, nothing like the beautiful crystal halls above. Where are we going? Marcus asked as they crawled through a particularly tight section. To the old city, Kethavor replied. There are people there who have been waiting for someone like you. What people? Workers who have grown tired of being told their only value is in serving their betters. Servants who want to choose their own paths. Your ideas about freedom have spread further than the Queen realizes. They emerged from the tunnels in a section of the city Marcus had never seen, where the buildings were older and simpler than the crystal spires of the noble district. Here the Zephyrians looked different too, their clothes plain and practical rather than flowing and elegant. A group of about 20 aliens waited for them in a hidden basement. Their faces showed a mixture of hope and nervousness as they recognized the human who had become a symbol of something new. Marcus Chen, said an elderly female who seemed to be their leader. We have heard of your courage and your words about freedom. Will you help us learn to be free? Marcus looked around at the faces watching him expectantly. These weren't soldiers or revolutionaries. They were ordinary people who had simply grown tired of living in a system that gave them no choices. I'm not a teacher or a leader, Marcus said honestly. I'm just someone who believes that every person should have the right to choose their own path in life. That is exactly what we need to hear, the elderly female replied. For too long we have accepted that our roles in society are fixed forever, but you have shown us that change is possible. Princess Lyrelai stepped forward. If we are going to change anything, we need to do more than just hide. My mother will not give up easily, and she has the power of the entire empire behind her. What do you suggest? Kethavor asked. Lyrelai looked at Marcus with determination in her eyes. We show the empire what true leadership looks like. We prove that freedom makes people stronger, not weaker. Marcus realized they were no longer just trying to escape. They were starting a revolution, one that would challenge the very foundations of Zephyrian society. The question was whether a small group of rebels could stand against the power of an ancient empire. Marcus spent 3 days with the rebels in their hidden basement, learning about the underground movement that had grown around his ideas. But something felt wrong. The group was too well organized, their knowledge of palace security too detailed, their resources too abundant for simple servants and workers. His suspicions were confirmed when he caught Kethavor in a private conversation with one of the rebel leaders, speaking in code phrases that sounded military rather than civilian. We've been manipulated again, Marcus told Princess Lyrelai quietly that evening. She looked surprised. What do you mean? This whole rebellion, the escape, even our capture during the first attempt. It's all been orchestrated. Marcus gestured around the basement hideout. Look at this place. These people have professional equipment, advanced communication systems, and detailed intelligence about palace operations. Real servants and workers don't have access to such resources. Before Lyrelai could respond, Kethavor approached them with several other rebels. But now Marcus could see the truth in their movements and posture. These weren't downtrodden workers learning to be free. They were trained operatives playing a role. You are very observant, Marcus Chen, Kethavor said, dropping his pretense of being a reformed spy. Princess Lyrelai told us you were intelligent as well as brave. Lyrelai told you? Marcus turned to face the princess, pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. You've been working with them from the beginning. Princess Lyrelai's expression shifted from surprise to something more complex, part guilt, part determination, and part sadness. I am sorry for the deception, but it was necessary to test your abilities and loyalty. Test me for what? Marcus demanded, though he was beginning to understand. For the role you will play in the future of both our species, Lyrelai replied. Everything that has happened, the assassination attempt, your enhancement, even your imprisonment, has been part of a larger plan. Marcus felt betrayed but not entirely surprised. His enhanced senses had been picking up subtle inconsistencies for days. The Korthak assassins? Real enemies, but we knew they were coming, Lyrelai admitted. I needed to see if you would truly risk your life for someone you barely knew, without any thought of reward. And the Queen's plan to adjust my mind? Also real, but my mother does not know that I have been working against her for months. Lyrelai gestured to the rebels around them. These are not servants learning about freedom. They are members of my personal intelligence network, agents I have been placing throughout the Empire to prepare for the changes that must come. Marcus shook his head in disbelief. So you're the one who's really in control here. I am preparing to be, Lyrelai corrected. Zephyrian succession requires proving worthiness through great achievements. My mother expects me to inherit the throne simply because I am her daughter. But the Empire's ancient laws require more than bloodline. And saving the human hero counts as a great achievement? Binding the human hero to my service does, Lyrelai said, her voice becoming more formal and regal. You have become a legend among our people, Marcus. Your courage in saving me, your resistance to mind control, your influence on our lower castes, all of it has enhanced my political position enormously. Marcus realized the full scope of what had been done to him. The enhancement process. You made sure I would become something more than human. The quantum healing was designed to change you into the perfect guardian, Lyrelai confirmed. Your human adaptability allowed us to create abilities no pure Zephyrian possesses. You can perceive quantum energy, react faster than our best warriors, and inspire loyalty in ways we never could. Dr. Veltar stepped out of the shadows, no longer playing the role of reluctant ally. The neural pathways we created during your healing give you capabilities that surpass both species. You are becoming something new, a bridge between human and Zephyrian consciousness. Marcus looked at his hands, seeing the subtle shimmer that marked his transformation. What am I becoming? The first of a new kind of being, Lyrelai said. One with the courage and independence of humanity, combined with the advanced capabilities of our technology. But the process is not complete, and it cannot be completed without your willing cooperation. And if I refuse? Lyrelai's expression became sad but determined. Then you will remain trapped between species, never fully human again but unable to access your full potential. More importantly, Earth will remain vulnerable to threats you cannot yet imagine. What threats? Marcus asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. Kethavor activated a holographic display that showed star maps and military intelligence. The Korthak Dominion was not acting alone when they attacked the palace. They are part of a larger coalition that sees humanity's alliance with us as the beginning of human expansion into their territory. The display showed massive fleets moving toward Earth's solar system. They plan to eliminate humanity before your species can grow strong enough to challenge them, Lyrelai explained. The attack on me was meant to destroy our alliance and leave Earth defenseless. Marcus studied the tactical information, his enhanced mind quickly grasping the strategic implications. Earth's defenses can't stop a force that size. No, but a joint human Zephyrian fleet could, Lyrelai said. However, our military alliance requires more than treaties. It needs a symbol that both species can rally behind. Someone who represents the best of both worlds. You want me to become that symbol? I want you to become what you were always meant to be, Lyrelai replied. Not a prisoner or a servant, but a partner. Complete your transformation willingly, and you will have the power to protect both Earth and Zephyria. Refuse, and both civilizations may fall to our enemies. Marcus felt the weight of impossible choices. Accept Lyrelai's offer and he would lose his humanity but gain the power to save billions. Refuse and he would remain trapped in an incomplete state while his homeworld faced destruction. There's something else, Lyrelai said quietly. Something I should have told you from the beginning. She gestured and the holographic display changed to show brain scans and genetic analyses. The enhancement process did more than give you new abilities. It connected your consciousness to our quantum network. You can feel our emotions, understand our thoughts in ways no other human ever could. Marcus realized she was right. He had been sensing the feelings and intentions of the Zephyrians around him for weeks, interpreting it as enhanced intuition. But it was actually a form of telepathic connection. And we can sense yours, Lyrelai continued. I know that despite everything I have done to manipulate this situation, You have come to care for me as I have come to care for you. Not as princess and guardian, but as equals facing an impossible situation. Marcus looked into her violet eyes and saw the truth there. Beneath all the political calculations and strategic planning was genuine affection and respect. She had manipulated him, but she had also risked everything to give him real choices. If I agree to complete the transformation, Marcus said slowly, what guarantees do I have that I'll remain free to make my own decisions? None, Lyrelei admitted, except my word that I would rather rule beside a willing partner than command an unwilling servant. The choice must be yours, freely made, or it has no meaning. Marcus closed his eyes and felt the quantum energy flowing through the crystal around them. His enhanced senses could perceive the vast network of consciousness that connected all Zephyrians, a web of shared thought and emotion that spanned their entire empire. If he completed his transformation, he would become part of that network while retaining his human individuality. But he would also gain the power to protect two worlds from destruction. I have one condition, Marcus said finally. This partnership works both ways. I'll help defend our peoples, but you help me change how both our societies think about freedom and choice. Lyrelei smiled, and for the first time since he had known her, the expression was completely genuine. Agreed. Though I warn you, changing an ancient empire's way of thinking may be harder than fighting a war. Maybe, Marcus replied, taking her hand. But humans have always been stubborn about the things that matter most. As their hands touched, Marcus felt the final barriers in his mind dissolve. The transformation completed itself, not through force or manipulation, but through his own free choice. He remained Marcus Chen of Earth, but now he was also something new, a bridge between species and a guardian of freedom for two worlds. The real work was just beginning.